everybody. Welcome back to episode 14.
And we're back.
The Father's Day edition.
Father's Day. Shout out to all those dads.
Yes.
What's up?
Happy Father's Day, everybody. Matter of fact, so we're going to do actually, I guess the fact that it's Father's Day kind of ties in nicely to what I wanted to talk about today.
Yes.
And that is the importance of fathers in the development of their kids.
In making children.
That's important too. Generally, it doesn't work without that person or the other one for that matter.
There you go.
You know, that's a whole hot button topic these days, isn't it?
Oh, yes, but we're going to focus on
yeah,
hockey.
we're not going to talk about that. We are definitely not going to talk about that. But
so dads in hockey and role models.
And how important dads are in the development of your kids.
Yeah.
And how also it can hurt your kids.
Yeah, well,
right?
A lot to unpack there.
Yes. So we're going to get into that. So for those of you that don't know us, we are the Crazy Hockey Dads. I'm Jamie. This is Scott.
What's up, everyone?
Here we are at episode 14.
14
which is
now.
Kind of wild.
14 weeks and running.
It's wild.
It is.
I mean, I feel like we just started this like yesterday.
Yeah, you know, I think the first time we actually sat down to try to record something was last September.
Is that right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. That was the first time we tried recording something. And it was like the thick of hockey season.
Is that right? That's when we actually tried to do this?
I'm pretty sure the first time we recorded something was in September. Anyway.
And we waited that long to figure this out?
I don't think it was a matter of like waiting to figure it out. I think it was just a matter of timing.
Yeah. I didn't realize it was that long. I'm actually surprised.
Yeah.
All right, listen.
Well, anyway, we're here now.
Yes, we
Episode
are here
14.
Now. Yes. So any hockeying, by the way, over the weekend? Otto doing any hockey?
No, last week, yes.
Okay, what's he doing?
So working on strength, speed, agility, gym class style, youth functional fitness. I think is.
Oh yes, right. You're doing like an off
called.
Ice and ice. You're doing
both,
right?
And then got on the ice last Wednesday with a group.
Okay, right.
Got some reps in.
Okay.
Should be on a daily basis shooting pucks. That does not always happen, I can assure you, but that's on his list of things to do.
Dominic's been cranking that up, by the way.
Yeah, good for him.
Like big time.
Yeah, and you know,
Kids changing.
It gives me a lot. It gives me a lot of hope.
Yeah.
Not because because Dominic is a close example of someone who a couple years ago you would tell me
same thing.
It could have been even in the last 12 months where he was like, "No, I'm good."
Now you're 100%.
And now
100%.
he's rocking it.
Yeah. It's funny how their mindset changes as they get older. Once they start to see things and like see the path, they kind of, I don't know, something just snaps in their head. If they really want it, they go after it.
Right.
Which is cool. You know?
That was like Otto this morning. I was out the door running at like 7:30.
Yeah, see, Otto, he's pretty good with some of that stuff. Maybe he's not consistent, but he's
showing signs that he's signaling that it's something that's important to him.
Right.
Now he's not doing it every day.
Listen, but I think you're getting there.
No, it's going in the right direction. And the fact that he's like game to, do body weight, strength and conditioning stuff and, go to a gym environment and spend time doing that. Look, we're not taking it uber seriously.
Right.
But
he's doing.
But he's doing.
I think it's great.
And so I think that hopefully that's a good sign of what's to come.
Listen.
Time will tell.
Dominic was not waking up early and going running 2 years ago.
Right.
So, but you know what he is doing now, which is pretty wild.
What?
So he's coming to the gym with me every day.
Every day?
Every day.
Wait, so let me get this straight. You go to the gym every day and play pickleball every day?
I don't play pickleball every day.
Oh, you don't?
I played this morning. I'm playing Wednesday morning and Friday morning.
And any day that ends in Y morning.
Listen, it's great cardio. And speaking of running,
right, all these dinks, these little dinks. What do you call them?
I hate running. Yeah, I can't even say.
Are you a dinker? Is that a position in pickleball?
You want to hear something crazy?
Are you like the left dinker?
Do you want to hear something crazy? Is that a hockey father is the one that got me into this stupid game.
Why is it? What is so what?
No, it was just ironic.
He should have gotten you into men's league.
Hockey?
Yeah.
Nah.
Why?
Nah.
Come on.
I haven't skated since like 10.
There's a spot on our team.
Have fun. You have fun filling it with somebody else. No, honestly, I hate running. So I like it. Now listen, I mean, I hate running, but I'll do this cardio wise.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's great.
You should play.
Play what?
Pickleball.
Can I be the left dinker?
Sure. Yeah. Oh yeah. Speaking of Father's Day, did you see what Dominic got me for Father's Day?
No.
Hold on.
Oh, it's here? Is that Ooh. Very cute. That's a green wiffle ball.
Sort of. Yes. Yes. It is apparently it is the jelly. And where that is?
Jelly cat?
Jelly cat.
That's you're flexing
the jelly cat.
Your stuffy muscles now.
This was in my Father's Day bag, along with a card and
nice
candy and like a gift. Yeah. This was it. Yeah. So yeah, he Dominic loves jelly cat.
It's great.
It's good stuff. They make great stuff, by the way. I mean, how cool is that?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, so my baseball that I got a couple years ago.
It's like stuffed animal
it's
hour.
Like show and tell, right? Again, also from Dominic. But yeah, so no, pickleball is actually a really good, a fun game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all the rage.
They say people that play paddle sports live 10 years longer.
Oh, yeah?
That's what they say.
Great.
Not sure if it's true. But we're going to go with it.
Why paddle? Why can't it be a stick sport too? Hand-eye coordination. What does the length or the size of the thing you hold in your hand have anything to do with anything?
When you read about it, I have not delved into this.
Tennis Digest, it makes all their readers feel better.
So they're not going to die early?
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah.
But from what I read, it just says that the apparently it's a thinking game along with, so because there's like strategy to it, and I'm not going to get into strategy because I'm going to bore everybody, but when you play at the high levels, again, it gets fast. It's actually really cool.
And is there a lot of dinking?
Oh my God. I swore to anybody that I would never play a sport that had the name pickle in it.
Yeah, you swore that, but here you are.
Here I am. It's crazy. It's reminds me of the line from the movie Fun with Dick and Jane. With
I don't know that I'm gonna know this.
You don't know that Fun with Dick and Jane is with Jim Carrey?
Yeah, I knew that part, but I don't know the movie.
So his name is Richard. So she's like, "We're in a pickle, Dick." You should watch. Great movie. Great movie. Oh no, not my Telemundo. Anybody that's seen the movie understands what I'm saying. Anyway, So pickleball's fun, but so Dominic is going to the gym with me.
That's awesome,
and wants to. But what's funny is he doesn't believe me when I tell him things. Like, so we're lifting.
What?
Like we're doing chest yesterday.
Oh yeah,
just like dumbbell chest presses.
Yeah.
All right. Incline dumbbell chest press. So he's got, I don't know, he had like 15-pound weights in each hand.
Yeah.
And I saw him struggling, trying to get him up. So I said to him, I go, Dom, you have to breathe out when you push up.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, that doesn't work. That's what he says to me. He's like, Dad, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, okay.
Why would he say that to you?
I don't know. So I look at him, I go, okay, fine. He goes, Dad, your technique doesn't work. I go, really? I go, Google. I go, just Google it, Dom. I go, Google. I go, it works for everybody else but you. I go, I have no idea what you're talking about. I turned to the guy next to me. I'm like, ask him, Dom. I'm like, he'll tell you. He was too embarrassed to. I go, Dom, ask the dude next to you if you're supposed to breathe when you lift. Yeah. He's like, no, I don't want to do that.
But he'll have no problem arguing.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, with me, right? So I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah, so that's a good, maybe a good introduction into just like the topic. And so here you are, you find yourself at the gym with your son and clearly playing a part in his physical development, athletic development.
Yes, trying.
Yeah.
I'm trying.
And so let me ask you a question, but like that fact that you're going to the gym with him more, was that part of the motivation behind today's topic, or was there something else?
So it's part of it.
Yeah.
I thought Father's Day was appropriate to kind of talk about like the dad role in not just raising kids, but raising a hockey player.
Yeah.
I think that in society, we're becoming a little, how do I put this gently? I think we're becoming a little, I don't even know what word to use that's appropriate. Like scattered. Like I think that parents today are letting their kids get away with stuff that when we were younger would never happen. So I think that the I want to say the lack of parenting, or maybe it's just shitty parents that are creating a bad example for their kids. I'm not talking hockey. I'm just talking in general. Right? I'm not. Obviously it covers everything, but I think that I think society is, I don't want to say breaking down, but I think that parents these days are different. Would you agree with that?
I think societal
not
norms,
to get political, but I think parents are different these days.
Societal norms I think have changed. I think certainly since we were kids. I think that us as parents and our generation as parents compared to our parents, I think that there's a few more, if not a lot more variables that we have to deal with.
Yeah, navigate. I agree. I think you're right.
Which makes parenting harder in some ways. Again, if I think back to when we were kids and taking screen time as an example, my parents did not regulate screen time in any real meaningful way.
Mine didn't either.
I mean, they would tell us eventually, like, stop watching TV and go outside and do something.
Yeah, they would say you're going to get stuck like that or something stupid like that.
Right, but and maybe this is an unfair analogy, and I recognize that. But in the same way, like when smoking was something that people just did because that was like a social norm, and it wasn't until much later that society began to see
we have more knowledge, more data on
and
it.
So I think
it's true.
Screen time, while not smoking, but I think there are
equally as bad, just a different type of bad.
Well, yeah, I guess I was trying to refrain from saying equally.
Well, okay, maybe not equally,
but there are negatives that our parents were not aware of.
True.
That we are now finding. And look, also screens are not just the television. It's the computer, it's the iPad, it's the phone.
Sure.
So there's so screen time, just as like one example of like the challenges that we face, I think.
Right. I see what you're saying.
But with that comes a lot of positives. But no, I think
it does.
Look, I think when there's a lot of accessibility to things to make life more comfortable and easier, and I, generally speaking, think that the harder way is usually the better way.
No question.
Guilty as charged for taking the easier way.
Listen,
sometimes.
Everybody does.
But
it's a path of least resistance. Normal.
Perhaps this is speaking to what you were bringing up, and that is, as far as like being a role model for your kid and being, I don't know, it's a good parent's that's not fair. I'm not, because that's too much of a generalization. But like if we're trying to set good examples for our kids, like not being on our phones as much as we probably are, is a great place.
So you have to set a good example.
You have to set a good example,
and that's kind of what I'm talking about,
right? And it's funny you bring this up today. I mean, obviously, Father's Day makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
but even
good topic for it.
Yeah. Even when I think about Otto, and to a lesser extent Noah, but for Otto, like he'll want to do things like go shoot pucks with me, or
which is cool,
or do whatever with me. And on one hand, you want he's certainly independent, so I'm not concerned about there being like him being unwilling to do things on his own. Like he'll do them on his own, but then he'll also turn to me and say, hey, do you want to do this with me, or you want to do that with me? And that gives me an opportunity to lead by example and to do hard things next to him.
Yeah.
So he can't say, yeah, but.
And that's kind of what I'm talking about. I think that some parents out there, and especially I think it's important for dads, because I think dads are obviously, the mom and the dad are both important to the development, but I feel like dads, I mean, the reason we called this podcast Crazy Hockey Dads, not Crazy Hockey Parents. Yeah. Right? Listen, don't get me wrong. There are lunatic mothers, right? I mean, there's crazy hockey moms too, but I think that dads have a role to play. And listen, again, the reason I wanted to talk about this on Father's Day is because, so this podcast has become and we talked about it on the pilot, has become a therapy session.
Yeah.
Right. And I have to tell you, ever since we started this, I was fixing myself before this, but this podcast for me has done wonders, because it allows me an outlet to talk about this stuff. So I don't get angry at my son for not giving effort or whatever, doing this and that, and I've noticed that as I've changed my tone with him and I've changed how I am with him, and we always spent a ton of time together, but now it's a little different. It's different.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you, he has a totally different mindset. Like it's when the father is beating on his kid, I mean, everybody knows about the car ride home.
Yeah.
Right? The car ride home sucks.
And you're talking about like a quote unquote beating.
Yeah, I'm not talking about, when you beat on your kid verbally, like not like you're calling him an asshole, but you're just like, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? Johnny's so much better than you. Like all that crap does not help. I'm telling you, I did it when Dominic was younger. It is fucking terrible. And I haven't done it for a long time, and I do not do it anymore. And that's kind of another reason for this podcast, because I'm hoping to change the minds of a lot of parents that are out there berating their kids in the car ride home. Because I'm telling you right now, it does not help.
Yeah. It's as you say that.
I get it. I know it's frustrating. I know, and I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good.
But I know that you and I have had this conversation where it's hard to sit in the car on the way home and keep your mouth shut.
Yeah.
It's very difficult when you're boiling inside.
Yeah.
But you know what? I think, and listen, we're going to see what happens when the season starts. Mm-hmm. But I have a funny feeling that my entire demeanor is different.
It'll be different. Yeah. You know what this is.
So good topic for Father's Day.
Good topic. Yeah. And as you even talked about just now about starting this podcast and talking about it, and just even we talk about it more than just on the podcast, but I have found
crazy hockey therapy session.
No, that as I try to reel myself in, because I while in the sea of feedback that we're ultimately giving our kids, it's feedback, right? At a time when it may have been more negative and unbalanced. Yeah. And now I again, look, I don't think I need to qualify this like every time I say something, but it's nothing. I'm certainly not doing this perfectly, and it's not every single time that I'm able to be clear-minded. Certainly there are times where I lose it and I can't bite my tongue anymore. It's hard, but I'm getting better at it.
Yeah. And that's the idea.
Right. But like giving him more balanced feedback, right? Like if I'm going to tell him something negative, that's something I think is an opportunity. Yep. And I always try to couple that with some form of positive feedback. And it's not always a one-to-one or whatever, but it's typically not always just negative feedback.
Right.
Which I think is important. And I also think that having not always being, I don't want to say like a hard ass, right? But in some ways it's easier just to operate from a place of like, you need to improve. This is what you need to work on. Right. Shoulda, woulda, coulda, this, that, the next. When I'm operating or talking to him and I'm trying to have give him balanced feedback.
Yeah, sure.
What I'm also finding is that it, in some ways, it's also more, I don't know if difficult's the right word, but if I'm strictly in like, let's call it negative feedback mode, or this is all the things you got to work on and this is the plan and how we're going to do it. Yeah. When you start balancing things and it creates a little bit of a gray, because on one side it's like, this is good, but that's not good, but we should work on that. And honestly, for me, I sometimes get very caught up in my head when I'm trying to give feedback. And I'm like, okay, should I push harder now? Should I not push harder? Yeah.
It's hard. There's a delicate balance. It's very hard.
And then like having a conversation where, like even we're talking and it's like, oh my God, this, that, then the next. And it's like, but he's 10 and my son is, and I'm like, he's still so young. He's got time to grind. He does. And I've had coaches tell me when they see him being hard on himself, like, yo, he's too young to grind like this.
Yeah. You mentioned that to me.
And I was like,
one of his coaches said to me,
that's the way he's built. But it creates,
I get it.
It creates, for me personally, trying to be more balanced in some ways makes it more difficult, because it's
a challenge.
Yeah.
Super hard.
It's hard to be firm, but not angry sometimes.
Yes.
Because oftentimes I'm upset about things. And then once things cool off and I go to revisit it and I'm not charged with whatever the emotion is, then I'm like, I sometimes fight for like, oh, was it even that important to give him that feedback if I don't feel that way now? And if I bring it up now, is it even worth it? Like, it's
you know,
I don't know. It becomes such a fucking mind fuck.
It's terrible. Trust me, I get it. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. It's one of the worst feelings when you're sitting in the car and your kid's in the back and listen, he's unhappy because he didn't play well.
Yeah.
Right. He he didn't do so. He knows.
They know,
and he knows that you're mad about it, which is not good.
But here's the thing,
right? And then
go ahead,
no. I'm just saying it. And it's so hard to sit there for the ride home, especially if you have like a 2-hour car ride home. And we've all done it.
Yeah.
Maybe not, but a lot of us have done it.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It's hard to keep your mouth shut. Super hard.
And so here's another example of the mind fuckedness that happens. So
mind fuckedness.
Whatever. That's a technical term, by the way.
I like it.
Yeah. No.
I like it.
That's real.
I'm going to steal it.
Yeah. You just learned something.
I did. Appreciate it. I'm going to use it, by the way.
But like in the car ride home. Yeah. Okay. So let's just say I'm ripping pissed about something because I didn't see the amount of effort I wanted to see. Okay.
I know.
So on one hand, it's like if I were to confront him about it, sometimes he'll be like, "No, I gave all my effort."
Dominic,
and I'm just like, then I think you said the last podcast, like you can't argue with crazy sometimes. Right. So I find myself in that position. And then the other one is if I'm really upset and I'm choosing not to say something, it's also uncharacteristic of me to sit there in silence. So I'm sitting there and they know. So I might as well just.
Dominic has said to me before, he's like, I know Dad's mad. He's not speaking.
Yes. So Otto,
and I want to get away from that. I don't want to do that.
So
anymore.
Right.
I don't.
So then
I want no part of it.
I'm quiet and like, so Dad, how do you think I played? I don't know. How do you think you played?
I was going to say, how do you think you played?
I played great.
You're like on a scale of 1 to 10. What do you think you were? He's like a 10. You're like, okay.
Right, but then here I am.
You have to open up your stupid mouth, right?
No, but here I am trying not to
I get it.
engage because I'm upset.
But he's engaging you.
But he's engaging me, which is totally fine and reasonable.
Yeah.
And where have I gotten? I've gotten better in those moments where I can just like not give him the impression that I'm upset and just let him know, hey, look, this is what I think you did well. This is what I think you maybe could have done well. What do you think? And have like a more rational conversation, perhaps, is a way of putting it.
Which is great.
Yes, but it is not. But it's not fucking easy.
No,
man.
it's not. It's
what
not we're saying easy. Is not. We're saying it like it's so easy to do. It's not easy.
But and the other thing that
it's
also what else?
Especially if you're a competitive person, it's not.
No, 100%.
If you're any sort of type A, it's like pulling fingernails.
Yeah, and
terrible.
And then when because feelings aren't facts, and we don't know what happens behind closed doors at other households.
True.
But I can assure you, at least in my household, we've had conversations. Yeah, but don't you think that so and so and so and so and ba 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 and da da da? And I'm like, honestly, I don't know, but what happens with those conversations, and it typically is in the fashion of like, oh yeah, you in our household were the exception because you scaled things back. In most instances, we think of other people and we see how children are progressing, and we're like, oh no, we got to do more. There is no room. There are no days off. But that's like.
Yeah.
And even in our house now, and I know I'm kind of rambling and ranting, and I apologize.
No, rants are good. I was gonna put a ranting segment into each episode. So this is actually not a bad thing.
Perfect.
We were gonna talk about that later off the air, you and I. So this is perfect.
So in our house, Otto's compared to last spring. Last spring, Otto was like enrolled in a skills clinic that also it was pretty like. They went to tournaments. They also did like 4-on-4 tournaments.
Right.
It was during the week mostly, and he would do that like twice a week.
Right.
And it was a little bit of it. It was a drive, and then on the weekends, I was out in
Newburgh.
No,
Randolph,
Mount Vernon.
Oh, the Hutch.
Yeah, so we would go out
hate
there.
That drive.
Yeah, it's not the distance isn't
Plus
that far,
the rink
but
is
the
in
traffic.
Such a shitty area.
But either way,
Yeah.
So last spring he was doing that. He was doing that plus
Right.
steel on the weekends.
Got it.
So he was full of hockey.
Got it.
During the week. This spring didn't do anything during the week.
Right.
And that was intentional.
Yeah, you said that. Yeah.
And I was talking to Orly, and Orly's like, "Yeah, we're like taking a really big break," and I'm like. Yeah,
it's not a bad thing.
No, it's definitely different than last year.
Yeah.
But at least internally in our house, it's like, but we talked about this. we talked about like taking a break and it's okay. And then like the fact that he's not doing it as much creates a whole nother conversation. Like, well, are we sure he's even still into it? I'm like, we chose not to sign him up. Like,
like we had this conversation.
He's outside
in
running.
January.
And I'm not pointing the finger at my wife on this. We both shared.
Well, because people change their minds as well.
No, of course. Who does that?
Listen, I know. Last episode I said I changed Dom's spring summer plans up.
So to wrap up my rant, which I'll do now, and that is we didn't change our plans. He's done less. And what I'm finding is like, in terms of being a role model for him, is I have an opportunity to spend time with him doing things related to hockey. Cool. Like go running, shoot pucks, whatever, just like you're going to the gym with your son.
Yeah. Yeah. It's cool too. It's really good bonding time. And this really cool.
This is because he wants it, not because I want to like flex my influence over him.
Same with Dominic. Yeah.
And so if he wants to shoot pucks, I'll feed him pucks, or I'll throw pucks at him and he can practice tipping the puck, whatever.
Absolutely, dude. That's huge.
It's huge. But the other
just
part,
quality time,
right? And the role modeling piece, and the last thing I'll say for now is continuing to work on like that feedback piece. And
I wrote something down that you're saying right now. I like parenting stuff, and children need to see you. Children need to see you model how to be an adult for them.
So my
your
daily temper tantrums.
You don't want to do that in front of your kid.
I'm joking.
I know you are. Yeah, no. It's important. I think it's very important, and that's what we're talking about. But this comes back to the ice rink.
Yeah.
When you unload on your kid in the backseat of a car, like you're not showing him the right way to be. You're not. You're showing that you cannot control yourself.
Right.
And I tell Dominic all the time, you need to control your emotions.
Yeah.
Right. So when you unload, you're not controlling your emotions, and they know this. They know all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And the fact that they already feel like shit, and they know when they don't play well. They do. Right. They know they know that they're bad when they're bad. And I think parents unloading on them in the car is a problem, and it's mostly the dads. That's why I kind of thought it was a nice. Not nice, but a good topic to touch on
Father's Day.
For Father's Day, because I think it's really important for parents to try to create a good environment for your kid to learn and develop, because all kids learn and develop at different speeds. And if your kid doesn't have a good season, you may just need to find a new home, or he may just need to grow, or he may just need to mature. It's I'm reading a book. I'm reading a book for like the 10th time. It's called Raising Men. By a retired Navy SEAL, Eric Davis. If anybody likes to read, go read that book. Download it on Audible or something.
Yeah,
it's a phenomenal book on how to raise children.
Okay, good rec.
Yeah, I'm reading it literally for like the 6th or 7th time.
Good for you.
It's a really good book. Again, you just need to. I think so. Again, I'm kind of fostering a different environment for Dominic now, and my wife said to me today, she's like, Jamie, do you see how his mindset is totally turned? And it's totally turned. So I'm really curious to see what he's going to look like when the season starts with this different mindset. Now, I have to keep this mindset going, because
and how would you call this mindset? Like what do you, how you?
I've just changed. I don't. We were at a 3-on-3 like a couple weeks ago. I think I was telling you we did a couple of 3-on-3s, and I don't think that he gave a ton of effort in it.
Yeah,
I didn't say anything to him.
Right,
I said nothing.
Right.
We went for ice cream after he got in the car.
And you didn't give any other clues that he would be like, hey, Dad's mad.
I said nothing.
And you were normal.
Because what I said to myself was, I'm going to do the 24-hour rule.
Yeah.
That's what I said to myself. And you know what? When the 24 hours came, it wasn't even an issue for me. And I just never brought it up.
But so I'm glad you said that, because
it was great, Scott. It was great.
But listen,
the 24-hour rule, we talk about like, don't talk to your coach for 24 hours.
Yep.
This is a parent 24-hour rule.
Yes, I understand that.
And I totally dropped it. It wasn't important to me.
Here's another
24
one.
hours.
Here, this is not what I was going to say right away, but here's another one, another line of questioning that you or me or any parent listening can ask themselves. Like in the thick of it, you can ask yourself, does it need to be said? Does it need to be said right now? and does it need to be said by me?
And the answers to the first two are probably no.
And if you don't answer yes to all three of those, then you probably can afford some time before anything gets said.
Or to not bring it up at all.
Right. Yeah. Does it need to be said? Does it need to be said now? Yeah. And does it need to be said by me?
Yeah.
And if yes to all three, then okay. But
I think it's very important. So I have a friend of mine who
wait, can I ask you a question before you tell the story? But like, let's talk about effort, for example. Mm-hmm. Like my concern sometimes is that if I don't say it when it's like fresh and lively in my mind. Now, again, delivery is a big part of it, right? But if I don't say anything and I let the 24 hours go by and the next day it's like, you know what? I'm just happy not to be angry anymore. I'm not going to say anything. You know, that's where the part of the mind fuck for me comes in. And this is like, well, now kind of like it's out of context. It's after the fact. Like saying something now, is that worthwhile, or do I just wait until the next time it happens? And I would say that if I wait 24 hours, I'm probably not going to say something unless
you're probably just going to drop it.
Not something that...
Because it won't be important in 24 hours.
Unless it was a new thing that's like a new development.
Okay, fair.
But for repeat behavior...
Like effort. That's a repeat behavior.
Okay, I don't, but I also don't always want it to come up in like a negatively charged...
Right.
Like...
Right.
And so I guess the question is 24 hours setting the stage for your son or daughter, maybe that's going to catch them off guard. If you're like, hey, listen, I just want to talk to you about yesterday. Remember yesterday when you were doing XYZ, I noticed you didn't seem like you were giving, a lot of effort. Were you? Was something going on? Like that's a reasonable conveation.
No
to have,
question.
I think, the next day, right?
No question about it. Yes. Yeah, because listen, there's a lot of things going on with these kids. Like their best friend could be like they could be in a spat with their best friend, or like they got in a fight with their mom or their sibling, or like these kids. I feel like they need consistency. Yeah. From the parent. Yeah. Right. Especially the dad. The kids always seem to look to the dad, like when they don't do well in a sport. Right. You always see kids looking to their father in the stands. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, for the most part,
the instances of that I know where they're a kid's looking at their parent. Yes, it's been dad, but I'm sure there's instances where moms. And of course,
I'm sure. But for the most part, it's the dad.
That's what I've seen.
Right, and that's why I thought this was a good Father's Day topic. I think that being consistent with your kid is important. Mm-hmm. Right, I think that inconsistent parents are not a healthy thing for a kid. I'm going to give you an example.
Please. Okay? I was going to ask.
So there is a skate. And I was telling you that the guy from Switzerland is doing on Tuesdays.
Sweden?
Sweden. Thank you. Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Yeah.
Right. And this other parent said, oh, Jamie, why don't we like carpool there? Mm-hmm. Okay. So I was like, sure, you take him Tuesday, I'll take him Thursday, or vice versa. Mm-hmm. Right. And I have to tell you, this dad, he texted me the other day. He's like, we're not going. He's like, we're not doing it. He's like, I'm not paying any more money for this. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. If he doesn't show me like that he could do, this, I'm not doing this for him.
Right.
So, and then he flip flops, just depending on his current mood,
right,
or if his kid is acting up or not acting up. Right. So the parent flip flops.
It's like reactionary to their children's behavior.
No question. And listen, I'm sure we all do it. Mm-hmm. But I don't think it's healthy for the child. I used to do it too with Dominic, and it's not healthy.
And can you, so to clearly state, what is it in that sentence?
Consistency. You need to be consistent.
Yeah.
Okay.
With your commitments.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Either you're going to take them to this or you're not going to take them to this.
Don't do it sometimes yes and sometimes no because you were a good or bad boy, Johnny.
I think you're giving a lot of mixed signals, and I think that is not, I want to say healthy for the child, but I don't think it's a good thing for their psyche. Right? These kids are very fragile.
If they're regularly being like quote unquote punished, because that's ultimately what it sounds like. The kids being punished for not showing dad what dad wants to see.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you, a lot of these kids, they will say things like, and I've heard kids say this. I've heard them say like, oh, why should I try? It's not going to matter anyway. I can't make my parent happy anyway.
You've heard that? You've heard a kid say that? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Huh. That sucks.
Yeah. And you're like, holy shit, like what is this parent saying to their kid behind the scenes? You know what I mean? Like that's a shame.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't think you want to waffle back and forth. I don't think you're creating a stable environment.
Yeah. Listen, I think consistency is important.
Yeah.
In different regards. That one, yes, if you're going to make a commitment to doing something, you should see it through.
Yeah.
And that I think is probably both from the parental and the child standpoint.
Right.
Understanding that a kid is going to have his ups and downs and act irrational and, you know, all those things. And that's something that's easy. Like we regularly in our house are, regularly, maybe that's the right word. I don't know. But like, you know, to like when the kids are not listening for the 5th or 6th time, you know, I result to like, there's going to be a consequence.
Sure. Well, that's normal.
Right. But what I'm saying is that consequence in that moment in time, it could be like, we're about to go to like a skating session. And I'd be like, dude,
we're not going.
If you don't finish that, you're not going.
I know.
And yeah,
I know it's hard. Don't get me wrong. It is hard. And listen, if the kid is doing something that's, I don't think that's a problem. You know what I mean? But that's different. That's the kid doing something like at the moment you're about to walk out of the house.
Potentially.
Right.
Or something they didn't do, like their homework right before you walk out the door.
So if that's the case, and it was made clear before, if you don't do your homework, we're not going to the skate. There has to be a consequence for things.
Right.
You know what I mean? And again, also very important for a father or a parent. You know, I think that there needs to be very clear consequences. If you do X, this is Y is going to happen.
Right.
And I think that's just good parenting.
Right. So one of the things that's come like with this example, and I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying, but I've had this conversation with Orly, and that's been that hockey should not be a consequence. And that's not like, surely there's exceptions to all the rules.
Right.
But my but to this is like hockey has so many positives, from like the team aspect of it to the discipline aspect, to like the wellness aspect, the physical fitness aspect. Like there's just a lot of good things going there. If, let's just say in this example, hypothetical, Otto doesn't do his homework and we're about to go to hockey. We've had the conversation at home. It's like, okay, well, let's not punish him with hockey. Right. Let's not take that away. We can take away screen time. We can take away screen time and not punish them with hockey. Because, you know, I will also tell you what's happened in our household, and I'm sure it's happened in other households, where you make a threat, and it doesn't have to be about hockey. Right. And the kid's like, yeah, go ahead, take it away.
Yeah.
Oh, you want me? Okay, then I'm taking that away, and I'm taking that away.
That's the worst thing for a kid to say to a parent. You're like, fine.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, go ahead.
Good. I don't want it anyway.
Yeah. That's the worst thing for a parent to hear.
And then
you're like, and you look at your wife, you're like, shit, what the fuck do we do now?
Right.
Jesus Christ. But, go up to your room and stay there for 5 hours. What do you do then? Not easy. Parenting is not easy, and there's no handbook.
No, there is none. But I think with respect to what we're talking about right now, when you're talking about consistency, I think for at least in our house, we've tried at times with success and others without. But like that, hockey is not going to be the punishment, at least for our our situation. Yeah. We think that taking away something like screen time is going to be worse. Potentially.
In that book, Raising Men, that I was telling you,
no screen time,
about that Navy SEAL, Eric Davis. His wife called him one day and said, you know, your son refuses to do his homework. So he comes home and he's like, so he looks and he's like, is that true? And the kid's like, yep. So he's like, okay. He's like, go get me your PlayStation and your skateboard. The guy's such a savage.
Oh yeah,
so the kid brings down his PlayStation, and his skateboard, and he brings it into the backyard, and he turns to his wife, and he's like, "Good." She's like, he smashes the kid's skateboard, breaks in two, and then he takes the PlayStation, and he throws it in the pool. In the pool.
OMG.
It sinks, and then the kid starts to walk away, and he looks. He goes, "Where are you going?" He's like, "Going inside." He goes, "Go get your PlayStation."
Yo.
It was awesome. What a savage.
Dude,
Total savage.
I saw an Instagram clip of a
telling you, Raising Men. Go buy it. or rent it or something, or download it, whatever you do. I'm telling you, Eric Davis, retired Navy SEAL, phenomenal book.
So I saw something similar, like an Instagram clip or whatever clip, where basically it looked like a teenage child, someone that like, I don't know, is more developed, at least between the ears.
Yeah.
And whatever his vice was, let's say it was like, I don't know, let's just say it was an older thing. Let's say it was DVDs, for example. Right?
What are those?
I know. But
those like those VHS tapes?
Yeah, similar
or the
but different.
Tapes?
They're just round and thin.
Yeah, exactly.
But either way, or make it baseball cards, make it video game, whatever you want to do.
Do you know that we actually put a DVD player into our Yukon the other day?
For what?
We put a DVD. We put a DVD into there's a DVD player in the console.
Oh, yeah?
And there's a screen in the back so the kids can watch when they're in the back.
So what you put on?
Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Oh, nice one.
So good.
So good. Sausage King of Chicago.
It's Abe Froman. The Sausage King of Chicago.
Yeah. Yeah, that's me. So you're telling me you're Abe Froman. Yep.
That's me, Abe Froman, the Sausage King of Chicago.
Wearing that fucking vest.
That's right. It was like a leopard print vest. I got to tell you, what a phenomenal movie that was.
Yes, but let me just finish my quick
phenomenal.
Thing.
Let me drag him outside, kick the shit out of him. Charlie Sheen.
Oh my God.
Ferris Bueller.
I forgot he was in that.
Let me drag him outside, kick the shit out of him.
So good.
The daughter was
dating
arrested.
Him. Or arrested.
Was arrested, and they were in the police station together. Yeah. We drag him outside, kick the shit out of him.
That was so good. But the dad in this like Instagram clip basically took the lawnmower and had his kid.
I saw that.
Him like
he rolled them over. I saw that.
I don't know what it was. I forget.
But he mowed over all the kids' video games.
Video games or DVDs.
Or right. They were circular discs. Could have been both.
Round UFOs.
Yes. I actually know a hockey parent who brought his kids Xbox or PlayStation outside, and I'm pretty sure he either sledgehammered it or spiked it off the pavement.
But here's my issue with that. And this is coming from someone that
have you done anything like that?
Oh, I've come close. I've come very close. But
I'm not gonna lie to you. I have broken one of my kids' sticks over the crossbar of our goal outside.
Oh yeah,
I have. Okay. It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
It was a long time ago, actually. I have not done that since. Again, this is why we're doing this podcast. Therapy.
I've wanted to.
Crazy hockey dad's therapy session.
But then it's just a matter of time before the kid turns around and starts smashing other shit.
Years. Well, again, you need to be a good role model for your kid.
And smashing your kid's stuff a good thing to show your kids?
No, but there's a discipline level. And me breaking his hockey stick was not that.
What do you mean a discipline level?
Listen, I think that you need the Eric Davis in the book, where he threw his kid's PlayStation into the pool.
Makes a much better argument for doing it.
No, but I think you need to listen. You want your kids to grow up and then parent their kids the right way, right? So again,
sure.
I don't think there's anything wrong with discipline. I don't think there's anything wrong with breaking your kid's PlayStation. If your kid is not taking care of business, like that's a luxury.
But why do you need to break it?
Why not?
No, just take it away.
There has to be.
We need to drive the message home with fear?
Yes. No, not fear, but I think you need to drive the message home. That I think is important.
When he goes to play his PlayStation and it's not there, he'll get the point.
But it's in a house.
Not necessarily.
Give it away then.
But you don't have to break it.
Give it to Goodwill.
Or don't break it.
I have no problem breaking it.
I mean, listen.
I don't mind the breaking it part. Again, you're driving home a point, especially if there were clear lines you need to do your homework, and if you don't do your homework, you don't get this.
Okay, and
because you know what, you have to do your homework. Unfortunately, there's things that kids do. We talk about doing hard things. There's things that kids have to do in life.
That's what we tell our
one of them. Respect your mother. Respect your father. Respect your grandmother. Right? There's things you have to do, whether you like them or not.
In life, we tell our kids that there are have-tos and there are want-tos.
Right.
And that's oftentimes the fork in the road when we're talking about either consequences or whether or not you need it or going to get it or whatever.
No question.
But, like when you talk about breaking the PlayStation, listen, I've been on the verge. I think we've
all been there.
And to be honest, if I'm and nothing comes to mind, but if I remembered something after this podcast, I'll share it next time.
Right.
But it's like no different than when your kid's not listening, and then it gets to the point where, do you not understand what the fuck I'm talking about? Like, you know, and then it's like, oh, now I have your attention. Why? Because I'm talking to you like an adult. I'm cursing and my voice is raised. Right. Like, why does it have to get to this point?
It shouldn't have to
actually stop what you're doing.
Of course, it should not have to. Like, but listen, kids are hard.
I know. Yes, I get it. But I guess I'm empathizing, perhaps is the right word, with what you're saying and the breaking whatever.
Yeah.
Because I often do the same thing to drive the point home.
Right.
And I use language and I talk to them like I wouldn't ordinarily, just so they listen.
Right.
You know? And so I get it.
It's not easy. I say all the time that raising children is the hardest thing that I've ever had to do. And there's not even a close second.
No.
Being a good parent it takes effort to be a good parent. Like you could just be
effort.
I think so. No, like it's hard to be a good parent. Like really hard.
Sometimes when I think about why the fuck
it takes a shitload of effort to be a good parent. Like I'm reading books about it.
Even to be a bad parent, it takes a lot of work.
I don't know about that.
It depends on your level of bad.
Well, listen. I mean, I've seen a lot of shitty parents. I'm not sure how much effort they put in. You know what I mean? Listen,
so it's all relative.
So again, we're talking. I have a story to tell.
Do tell.
So we're talking about being a good role model and how kids recognize how their parent is being.
Yeah.
And listen, from the age of 10 or 9, I'm telling you, the kid, they realize stuff and they talk to their friends about stuff. So we were in Massachusetts. So everybody remembers my buddy's breaking and entering story when he broke into the pro shop in Massachusetts.
Epic.
So we were at that exact same rink.
Okay.
And we had a game there. Mm-hmm. And then we had a game call it 20 minutes away. Mm. All right. So if you ever remembers the story, this rink where my buddy fell through the pro shop ceiling.
Totally normal.
There was a restaurant right next door, shared a parking lot. Okay.
Oh, right.
So, a bunch of people went over there and had some drinks. Okay. And I guess it was kind of like time to leave. We had a bunch of hours to go. So it was time to leave to go to the other rink. Okay. So I happened to hop into this car with this one father. Mm-hmm. Okay. I knew this dad was a little bit of a knucklehead.
Okay.
Right. But I didn't expect what happened. I did not what wound up happening was not what I thought was going to happen.
Okay.
So Dominic jumped in the car with somebody else. So I'm in the car with this one dad, and it's just there's no kids in the car.
Right.
And he pulls out onto the road and gets onto the highway. And that's the time where I realized that he's really banged up.
You mean like shit-faced?
Yes. Really banged up.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Thank God there was traffic, Scott. So he couldn't go anywhere, at any speed. You know what I mean? When we got onto the highway, I was reaching over and steering the car. I was reaching and grabbing the wheel.
No, you weren't.
Yeah, I was.
Why the fuck did you get him to pull over?
I tried. Trust me, I tried. Okay.
That's fucking crazy.
Again, we would have been in the divider. And it was just on an on-ramp. It's not like we were going 10 miles an hour.
What time of day is this?
Midday.
Fuck.
It was midday. I didn't realize how banged up he was. So literally we crawled to the next 2 exits.
Yeah.
Got off. And the rink was right there. Thank God the rink was right there. And I have to tell you, if I had to do that over again, I would have had him pull over, and we weren't going anywhere. So I knew nothing was going to happen. But if there was open road, that would have been a problem.
So, but then after the game, this guy's driving his kid home? Or did someone take his keys?
So it's funny you say that. After the game, so then we went to the parking lot. We were having some drinks in the parking lot. And this father does not know how to control himself.
Don't say.
So, yeah. So what wound up happening is I wound up driving his car back to the hotel.
Yeah.
So I'm in his car. Mm-hmm. We're pulled up to the front of the rink. All right. And he's in the passenger seat. I'm in the driver's seat. His kid throws his bag, and the back hatch was open.
Yeah.
Kid throws his bag and jumps in. He's like, "Dad, why is Why is Dom's dad driving?
Yeah.
And I was like, I thought maybe I would buy one of these. He's like, I'm like, so your dad let me test drive it.
That was a good one.
I tried, so immediately, as soon as that was done being said, the dad starts like ripping into the kid.
No.
Yeah. Tearing into him.
With Dom in the car also?
No. Dom was not in the car. It was just me, this father, and his kid.
Oh, shit.
I was driving his car home.
How uncomfortable.
Dominic was in the car with Nancy or one of his teammates, right?
Yeah.
Uncomfortable does not even begin to describe the situation. So I look at him and I go, this is not the time for this.
Right.
Right. So we drove back to the hotel, 20 minutes, whatever it was, but the problem is that I've heard this kid say this many times after this.
Uh-huh.
He has said to his dad, I've heard him with his dad on the phone. He's like, Dad, please don't drink tonight.
Oh, yeah. Listen, that's
bad. We talk about being a good role model for your
right.
child, and your child knows. They know.
They know.
I'm telling you, they know.
Well, so one of the things, you did that. I didn't see that coming. I didn't expect that to,
dude.
So that's
nuts.
I hope he gets help.
I literally was
whatever.
I
else.
held the wheel and I was like turning the car from the passenger seat so he wouldn't hit the wall just on the on ramp.
Well, here's like that's an unfortunate situation,
dude.
And we talk about setting a good role model, being a good role model. That clearly that's not great. But let me ask you this one, and this was one from I don't know, maybe it was 2 years ago. The kids were probably like 8. Let's just say they were 8.
Yeah.
And we're carpooling. We're going to a game. I don't know, wherever, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And the dad that was driving takes a look at the clock and he tells his kid, "Hey, buddy, it's 10 o'clock. Time to eat and drink."
Right.
And I was like, What do you mean it's time to eat? He goes, you need to eat. Like, basically, he was on a pre-game meal regimen that included drinking some amount of water. That was like, I forget what the quantity was. You got to drink your so many ounces of water, and you have to eat your banana and your this. And he was like so.
Is he pretty militant about doing it too? Like,
yeah. So the dad is a pretty
intense dude.
He can be, yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I think he's also, he takes care of himself fitness wise. He's regularly doing like,
so he's squared away.
Like, what is it? That 75 hard challenge is part of his repertoire.
All right. But he's pretty squared away, dude. It sounds like,
but what, yeah. Here's my but though. Again, like, and it all, this is more of like is this an age appropriate thing to have your kid being like that dialed in where I like at a certain time on the dot and the kid's like, I'm not hungry. And it's like, no, well, you need to eat it. And the same parent, I know would have their kid if they're not performing on the ice, like after, when they get home, get on the treadmill.
Wow.
Yeah. So now
get on the treadmill.
Get on the treadmill. So these are like, I don't know what the right word is. Like one is like coming across as a punishment, but all of this is kind of guised in the idea of like, maybe not the latter part because seemed very punitive, but the dad uses, I guess, like what you might say, like good habits, like running or like eating.
No, listen, I think that's great.
But in ways
it's good to teach your kid physical fitness and to be disciplined.
I know, but is that level like?
But it sounds like he's using it. Well, yeah, that's the thing. Again, the reason
it's not all age appropriate.
The reason why Dominic is coming to the gym with me now is because he asked me to go.
Right, and he's like on the verge of puberty, if not there.
No, he's starting.
Yeah,
so there's testosterone, so he can build muscle now.
Which also is not, and I started, but
no.
The going to the gym doesn't. As a 12-year-old doesn't mean like you have. I mean, you talked about 13. Sorry. Yeah. It's just his birthday.
April. Yeah. So he's 13 now. Yeah.
You're not talking about doing like heavy squats. Clearly, you were using dumbbells, but
right.
Like going to the gym like as a recreational thing to do with your family is not. Is totally fine. Yeah.
Listen, I think it's great. The four of us go. The four of us pile into the car and go to the gym.
That's awesome.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It really is. And so Nancy and Luca go and they do like, I don't know, stair climbers and ellipticals and treadmills and Dom and I go lift.
That's
and we
awesome.
go do lift and core and stuff like that. Yeah. It's great. It really is. And he's getting into it, like super into it.
That's great.
Yeah, which is really cool.
And for no other reason than it's just something like
it's just great to have.
That to develop
for life.
Right. Exactly. Just for longevity.
Yeah.
And
Health,
developing these kind of
fitness.
Habits.
Yeah.
Right. No doubt.
So it's cool. It really is. So being I think being consistent and not like waffling with your kids is important. I think providing them a stable environment is important, right? Listen, I'm learning as I go. Like I'm not, I give myself a little bit of credit, not like I'm pumping my own tires, but I give myself credit because I have totally changed my mindset as to how I listen. Again, when the season starts, we'll see if that, because there's no pressure now. When the season starts, we'll see if that changes. But again, that 3-on-3 that he had 2 weeks ago, that I didn't say anything about, and I didn't even have any animosity about it, Scott.
Yeah,
which was nuts.
But you know what's coming to my mind.
So I'm happy for that to be happening.
So
maybe this podcast is helping me.
No, for sure,
and other people out there, hopefully.
Yeah.
Right.
What I was thinking of, and is Dom went from let's say just like an unfavorable environment on one team,
situation. Then 2 years ago,
things have turned around. Now, my question for you is, how much would you attribute, if any, your change in mindset to the sheer fact that Dom is like getting plenty of ice time? He's like the man. He led the league in scoring. Like in the context of his team and his hockey.
Yeah.
Like
I'm sure it's helped.
He's not getting. You know what I mean? Like he could be. Let's just say he was on a AAA team this year.
Yeah.
And this is a hypothetical.
No.
But let's say he was on a AAA team this year. You know what? Like, okay, I did that like tier 2 for a year. It served him well. And now we're going back up to tier 1. If you had made that decision and he's like now going, let's say he's a fringe player now. And I'm not saying that he would be, but my question for you is, if he was in a less favorable environment again, how much of this clearer, newer mindset kind of goes out the window just with the fact that you're back in a tougher spot
situation? I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah.
I would like to hope that my mindset has changed enough to the point where even if we are in a tough spot again, that I'll realize that it's not forever.
Yeah. It's
just, I won't call it a phase, a bump in the road, call it, right? It's just kind of like a speed bump along the path that we're going here. It's going to pass.
Yeah.
Right. And we need to take some positives away from it.
Right.
And move on and change our environment.
Yep.
And, look for, instead of chasing letters, look for a good environment for your child to thrive in. And luckily that's what we found last year.
Right.
And his mindset seems to have been carrying over right into he wants to play now. Like he wants the season to start yesterday.
Right. He can't wait.
He is like chomping
on the bit.
Chomping to play. He's like, Dad, he's like August, mid-August is so far away.
It'll be here before you know it.
Dude, 100%. No question about it. But so again, on this Father's Day, I think it's really important for us dads to provide a stable environment for our kids in the house.
Yep.
Right. You can discipline, but I think that stable environment is really important for you, not only your kid's development as a hockey player, but as a person.
Yep.
So I thought that was an appropriate topic to talk about on Father's Day.
No, I agree. 100% agree. I think stability, consistency.
Yeah.
And in terms of like a quote unquote pressure cooker of an environment, not being in that. And I can speak now from experience also, just seeing the little bit going from tier 1 to tier 2 this year. And I if he had stayed on the tier 1 team, if we had made that decision to keep him there, I don't think I would have more anxiety.
You would
right now than I do knowing that he's going. Like I have my own concerns.
Yeah, I got
regardless of what team he's on, but I am anticipating that some of the difficulty that would have continued from last year to this year, like that's not that's not going to be a thing. Now, could it be replaced with something new?
Sure.
Absolutely.
But for the most part, it's probably not going to.
So because I'm already feeling somewhat more relieved, if that's the right way of putting it, or at ease is probably.
Yeah. No, that's
because of that, I'm able to then think a bit more clearly.
Good.
My expectations, I don't want to say are lower, but
they're dialed back a little bit.
They're different.
Yeah, they're different. Yeah.
And because of that,
not a lot of pressure.
I feel like I'm able to be a better hockey parent.
I think that's probably true. I noticed that last year. I was a better hockey parent.
Right. And how much of that, and if we take one step back and we talk about how our kids are being rolled, we're not only talking about our kids playing AAA or tier 1 or tier 2. We're talking about our families being a tier 1 or tier 2 family.
Right.
And I think that in our situation, well, I'll speak for myself, going from a tier 1 to tier 2, I think that there's already a lower stress level, which allows more positivity.
Agreed.
Than if it was the other way around.
Agreed.
And, that could change, but that's what I'm anticipating.
I agree with that. I think that's true. And as we kind of go along here, since we stepped up a level here, so next year is going to be interesting to see, how my hockey dadding goes. But I'm pretty comfortable with where I am right now. I have to tell you.
I would be too if I were you.
Yeah. I think we're going to be okay. Again, this podcast is helping me and you.
Yeah.
So hopefully it's helping a lot of other people. Like I said, Crazy Hockey Dad's therapy session.
Oh, say what's up, Taiwan.
Oh yeah, that's right. I appreciate you reminding. Yeah, so not only are we across the pond a couple times now, like Turkey, Netherlands, more UK downloads.
More UK.
All of a sudden, coming out of nowhere, and all of a sudden now we're in Taipei, Taiwan.
Don't know what hockey
I was just gonna say hockey in Taipei, Taiwan.
Yeah,
I guess.
Sure.
Right?
Why not?
Sounds awesome.
Yeah.
You want to talk a little NHL before we wrap it up here, bud?
Do I want to talk NHL? We can talk NHL. Sure.
So we are coming back to Florida.
For
Game 6. Dominic's been squawking Florida in 6 for a while now. I didn't think it was going to happen, but
it's hard to see it not happening.
I mean,
so you got Stewart's going back in goal, right?
So funny you say that.
He's got to go back in goal.
They were talking today who's going to be in net.
I think you got to put Skinner back.
I think so too.
I think you have to.
I think so too, but if you remember me saying when we broke down the series before it started, I said that goaltending was a major difference between these two teams.
Yeah.
When Bobrovsky's on, the dude is so hard to beat.
Yeah, but I said this to Otto.
So hard to beat.
When he was like, we were talking about the thumping that Edmonton got, and what Florida's able to do.
Home.
Yeah, but what Florida's able to do to Edmonton cannot do to Florida.
No, they can't.
And I think it's pretty clear who the better team is.
No question.
And you can't discount the Draisaitl and McDavid effect. Yeah. Like they can do Draisaitl and McDavid like things.
Yes, they can.
And they can, pick up the game by the scruff of its neck.
No
and
question
make a change. But I mean, Florida is the better team, up and down.
They just have more depth. They have better goaltending. They have more depth. Like you said, Draisaitl and McDavid are so good. But
even McDavid, like honestly, like what I've noticed about him,
scored last game and he hit the post. Right?
Listen, we're talking about like arguably the greatest player to ever play the game. So like,
and I hate it too because he's not American.
But what I was gonna say is, even watching him play, he's so much of a playmaker first, and he's like a pass first, shoot, not even second.
Yeah.
He's like a pass, maybe I'll shoot.
No, he's great. The guy's a rock star.
No, but part of what I'm saying is that like when he has the puck on it, like when they're playing, even on the less so the power play, but certainly 5-on-5 and then the O-zone.
Yeah.
If he's got the puck, I mean it's a little predictable that he's not going to shoot. Like he wound up for a clapper like in the high slot.
Oh, I remember that.
I was shocked.
And it got knocked down in front of the net or hit Bobrovsky like in the high chest.
I think it hit him.
Something like that. I know the one you're talking about.
Like a pass off pad.
Dominic even said it to me. He's like, why did David wind up? Yeah. I said that too.
Look, that was unpredictable.
Yeah, I didn't expect that.
All I'm saying is I would love to see him shoot the puck more. Honestly.
I mean, I don't know what he averages per game, but
shot attempts?
I would say he's got to be 10.
don't know. We should look into it because I don't think it doesn't feel like he shoots that
Well,
much.
I got to tell you, I think that Florida has been containing him the last couple of games.
Well, that's
I know
also
he
fair.
scored last game, and I know he hit the post, but I have to tell you, and I'm pretty sure Florida had like 3 penalties early in that game.
Right.
Like McDavid was on the ice a lot in scoring positions too. You know, listen, they had one that hit the crossbar. Like a lot of funky things happened, but Florida's a better hocky team.
No doubt.
You know?
I mean, I think that's
They
like
just are.
undeniable.
Well, if they have more depth, and you know what's funny is you have, so you have like Draisaitl going to make $14 million. You're going to have McDavid's going to make $14 million. You know what's crazy about Florida? Nobody makes $14 million.
Right.
Barkov's 10. Kachuk is 10. I think Seth Jones, I can't remember what his number was. It wasn't small, but it wasn't huge. But my point is that they don't have those $14 million guys. They just have a lot of really good players at like good contracts.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I also have to tell you, and I didn't know if you listened to Spit and Chicklets at all, but Bissonnette made an awesome point that I wasn't even thinking about. A $10 million player in call it like Jack Hughes signs a $10 million a year contract,
Jersey.
right?
Yeah.
That same contract in Florida
Tax dollars
is $8 million.
Yeah, no doubt.
So they have more money to go spend on depth guys.
Yeah.
Because they don't pay a state tax. So places like Texas and Florida and I think Nevada.
Yeah.
Right?
Shocking that those teams are all great.
Isn't it though?
No, I mean that's a big draw for players to go down because the
Lightning,
tax.
the Lightning have won a bunch of Stanley Cups. Now you're going to get Florida probably going back to back.
Listen, you know where that conversation.
I mean, there's something to be said there.
That conversation comes up a lot with.
That's a real conversation,
with European soccer, European football.
Right. I'm
and when
sure
you go
it does.
from country to country,
Yeah.
and the tax laws are different. People,
Sure.
if you're going to go play in Paris versus London,
No question. Yeah.
Players are looking at those contracts and being like, "What am I clearing after taxes?"
There's a reason Derek Jeter had a house in Tampa when he played for the New York Yankees, right?
I wonder what that.
And claimed Florida residence, right? I mean, he saved a truckload of money on taxes. But it's funny how teams like the Panthers, if you look at their structured salary, they don't have those massive contracts. So they can take that money that they save and they can sprinkle it over guys like, I don't know, Listerainen and Greer and Nosek, right? They can get those guys. Whereas as far as Edmonton, you're going to have, $30 million wrapped up in 2 dudes, and you're probably going to wind up giving Bouchard 10. So you're going to have $40 million wrapped up in 3 players. So that's a shitload of money in your cap.
But I do think there is something, and I don't have the details correct, and I think it might have been on Chicklets also.
Yeah.
Biz was talking about the same ideas in Canada, where with the exchange rate, what it is, if they're getting paid in dollars and living in Canada,
well, when you turn
there's
it
also
into
upside.
When you turn it into USD, it's actually favorable, right?
There's an upside
Yes,
if you're getting paid in USD living in Canada.
Yes.
But then who is it? I don't know. There's complications, and certainly not having income tax is a helpful one.
Huge.
Yeah.
No,
yeah, man.
Game changer. So
and, look, the cap is put in place to make it a fair playing field.
But these teams with no state taxes.
Listen, so there's
you have more. Again, if Kachuk's not making $12 million and Barkov's not making 12, they're both making 10. That's $4 million each. So they're getting paid like a $12 million a year player because they live in Florida.
Right.
So you have $4 million to go spend elsewhere.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
It's huge.
I think unless there's something that about
it's a
this
monster difference.
Yeah.
I mean, you have that money to go spend on depth.
Yeah.
And look what's happening right now with Edmonton and Florida.
Right.
Edmonton doesn't have the depth to keep up with the Panthers.
No.
I mean, then they have guys like, all right. So do you think it's over in 6? I think it's over in 6. I think they win Tuesday night and it's over. And I think Brad Marchand wins MVP of the Stanley Cup.
Oh, I think he should.
Oh my God.
Remember that last year McDavid won MVP and they didn't win the cup?
Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me. I get it. He had a ridiculous final, but that doesn't make sense to me. And if you're the GM or the upper management at the Boston Bruins, are you like hanging yourself right now, watching Marchand do his thing? to win, just about to win another Stanley Cup, and probably be the Finals MVP.
But like at the same,
what are they saying to themselves right now?
But look, if I'm sure if he could have done the same thing in Boston, he would have. If he could have, he probably would have. Why would you not want to perform at this level? I think circumstantially he's performing at this level. I know
they were in a rebuild. I know Boston's in a rebuild. So I get it from that respect, but man.
But look at the players he has around him. Like he's on the third line. That's not exactly like.
Well, you know who's in front of him? Kachuk. I think it's Kachuk and Reinhart are from him.
But that's my point.
It's ridiculous.
Like he's playing again on the third line.
Listen.
And he's like a first line player.
Oh my God. It's ridiculous.
On any teams.
I bet you he resigns with them next year too.
I think he'd be crazy not to.
And Seth Jones has another 5 years left on his deal.
That was a huge pickup for them.
Both of them.
Totally.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
So you think Florida's going to win it tomorrow or Tuesday?
That's what I think. I will say this though. I do think anything can happen. And I'm not saying that from like an any given Sunday cliche. I will say that I do believe that I almost said Winnipeg. I do think Edmonton. I think Edmonton. They have the tools to win another one,
right?
But to think that they're going to win the next two is really hard to imagine.
Yeah, I don't think it's happening.
I don't think so.
I don't think it's happening. I think Florida's too good. They just have too much.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, we're going to find out.
That's for sure. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
All right. So that's a wrap. I just want to shout out to Kirk from Ontario. Thank you for responding to our question.
Yes, thank you.
We'll get back to that one on the next episode. Kirk responded to our question about why Canadian players are so much more physical than our U.S. players. So we'll get into that on the next episode. Subscribe to our socials, YouTube, Crazy Hockey Dads, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Am I missing one?
Yeah, don't go to Twitter because it's not set up yet.
It's up, but we haven't done it.
Oh, it is?
Yet.
We haven't posted anything?
It's up. We haven't posted it yet. Yeah.
All right. So go check it out.
Yes.
Lots of content.
Yes. Go check it out. No, we're getting there.
We are.
We're
slowly but surely.
Yes. The downloads are coming fast and furious. So that's awesome.
No doubt.
Yes. Listen, this was fun, bud.
That's right.
Awesome. Thanks. I will see you on the next episode. And thank you so much, everybody. Appreciate it. Have a good night.
What's up?
See ya.
Thank you.
Later.
Peace.